Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. This is the first episode of the new year. Welcome to Capes and Tights podcast in 2026. If you're listening to this after that, well, it's still 2026 because you are listening to it this year. But this episode is once again brought to you by our friends over at Galactic Comics and Collectibles at galacticcomicsandcollectibles.com. We welcome our first guest of the year is Gregg Katzman. He's the Senior Publicity Manager over at IDW Publishing, who is the publisher behind comics such as TMNT, Star Trek, Godzilla, Sonic the Hedgehog, Rocketeer, and a bunch of IDW horror stuff. And 2025 was a great year for them, and they're gearing up for 2026, which is amazing. Especially excited for me is the IDW Dark imprint, which is going to be talking about horror comics, Smile for the Camera, Exorcism at Buckingham Palace, both those by Hannah Rose May, and A Quiet Place, and so much more, including TMNT. So check out this episode talking to Senior Publicity Manager from IDW Publishing, Gregg Katzman. But until you finish this episode, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places. You can rate, review, subscribe over on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. And as always, you can find us on YouTube as the video portion and capesandtights.com for so much more, including our favorite comics of last year and what's coming up this year. So enjoy this episode with Gregg Katzman of IDW Publishing. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, Gregg. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. We're getting here to the end of the, or beginning of the year. This episode's actually released the beginning of the year. So we're now in 2026. We're actually in the future right now talking to you. Yeah. Does that work? How was your new year?
I hope it went well.
The world did not end on December 31st, 2025, according to this episode. Yeah. We'll see. So it's kind of funny. I was actually having that conversation with my wife about podcasts, and we're talking about the end of the year and how I released these episodes on Wednesday, and this year Wednesday falls on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And so it's one of those, like, do you do an episode? Do you not do an episode kind of thing? And in my mind, I thought, if I'm traveling on New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve to somewhere, I want my podcast that I listen to's most recent episodes. So I said, you know what, this year, if it fell on Christmas Day, I think it's a different story. I think last year I did. I think I actually released it on Tuesday. But like, to me, it's like, oh, you got to do this. But also, it'd be okay if there wasn't an episode. And she was like, yeah, why don't podcasts say that? Hey, next week we're not going to have an episode. I said, well, it's because they want to be evergreen. They don't want to be you listening to an episode and be like, wait, there's not an episode next week, when you listen to it 6 months later because you're behind. And so, but sometimes these episodes fall on times that you can say Happy New Year and so on. So we'll talk that stuff. But welcome to the podcast. We've chatted via video chat about behind the scenes, about other stuff, but I wanted to get you on here to chat about IDW and all things comics. First of all, when I tell people you're a senior publicity manager, what in a nutshell is a senior publicity manager for IDW?
Yeah, that's a good question. Basically, I work with press and creators to make sure we're promoting our comics to the best of our ability, whether that is lining up announcements, and when to make those announcements to be most effective. And just to be clear, I work specifically for the direct market, which is single issues. We have a great book publicist, Kim Esland, who works on the book side for OGNs and trades and hardcover, different kinds of collected editions. So for me, it's working with press on announcement strategies, best timing for that, interview opportunities, making sure press have access to PDFs for reviews, if and when there are embargoes for said reviews, if they're spoiler free, spoilers are fair game, preview pages, access to comics early for other kinds of coverage consideration. It really depends on the outlet. You obviously do a great job with interviews and reviews and stuff like that. There are other outlets who maybe they want to lean more into editorials or something. Yeah. So it's making sure they have a heads up as well as an embargo on here's what's going on in this comic line. Feel free to prep whatever comic, coverage you would like to do, whether it's spoilers or other stuff. So yeah, celebrating our comics to the best of our ability with press and creators.
I imagine it's slightly different than like in the book market, not the graphic novel
Mhm.
market that Kim deals with, but like in the book market itself, like the prose novels and nonfiction books, that they have a year-long thing, and the publishers do a lot of the marketing for it. Like they're doing a lot of the you see the billboards at Times
Yeah.
Square and all that stuff. That's a lot of like the publisher handling that. And in the comic book world, you're talking to people over the years in reviewing comics and things like
Mhm.
that. Like they're doing a lot of legwork too. And so it seems like in the comic book industry, you're doing a lot of like, we're work together on this. Whereas I think in some other industries, it's like, I wrote the thing, I sold the thing. Now it's the publisher or whoever's job to sell the thing. And they do a little bit of it, but like a lot of this, like, it's like, it feels like a grassroots effort, even though it's bigger than grassroots in that sense. But it seems like these creators are also working with you on trying to get interviews and reviews and things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Obviously, with the book market, like you said, there's a much longer runway. They have more resources at their disposal, frankly, to do stuff there. But in the comic book market, it is obviously ideal if comic book creators are comfortable doing
Yeah.
their own promotions, whether it's on social media, whether it's interviews, whether it's chatting with their peers and giving their peers early copies of their comics to say, like, hey, check this out. If you do dig it, would you be comfortable with a pull quote, a
Mhm.
social thing? But also everyone has different comfort levels. There are going to be brilliant creators we work with who are like, I'm going to leave
That's
it
not
on
for
the
me.
page. Thank you very much. I don't feel like doing interviews and stuff, and that's okay. Everyone has different comfort levels with that kind of stuff. But yes, a number of creators that we do work with, they are always happy and eager to get out there, try to do interviews, try to do any kind of press opportunities possible. You've obviously chatted with a number of them, not only from
Mhm.
IDW, but of course from across the whole industry. And
Yeah.
and I think comics as well, you have to, I mean, like this is speaking personally for at least my role and my job, you have to hustle like
Yeah.
every single day because like new comic book day every single
Mhm.
Wednesday. How many comics are being released by Marvel? How many hard
Yeah.
comics are being released by DC, Dark Horse, Image, all the different things that are under Image's umbrella, like, Ghost Machine
Yeah.
and Skybound, Dynamite, so many other publishers, Mad Cave. So it's like, yeah, we could just release the comics and they'll
Mhm.
do what they do, but that's doing them and the creators a disservice. We always have to push. We always have to make as much noise as possible and do what we can to promote. Otherwise, they just kind of fly under the radar. And
Yeah.
it's a busy market. We got to keep just got to keep doing our best. And if creators are game for that, I always work with them for a schedule that works for them.
Mhm.
I always ask them, like, do you have a preferred type of interview method? Are you comfortable with email interviews? Do you prefer Zoom? Do you prefer phone? What?
Boom.
Yeah, I was combining Zoom and phone for a second there. Excuse me. Uh, wait. And yeah, if they do prefer a Zoom or phone, nailed it
Yeah.
that time. What's their time zone? What are their windows that are
Mhm.
preferred? And then from there, trying to work best with press to meet those windows of availability if press are interested in doing interviews.
Yeah. It's just it's also you're dealing with, and deal with the direct market. So there's
Mhm.
issues one, two, three,
Yes.
four, five of every comic book or whatever it may be. Whereas in the book market, or and not say Kim's job is extremely hard as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But Kim is selling the complete package, and so that sometimes has a little bit more runway too. We know X, Y, and Z trades coming out in June. We don't really know. Like even if I like did some research on what's coming out for IDW in 2026, it's like I know a few things, but like we don't know deadlines. We don't know all that stuff yet. And so we know that comics are coming out or trades are coming out at some point. And so
Mhm.
that is like you have to promote every single issue. And I see that in my emails I get from you every once in a while. You're like, hey, just to let you know, it's issue 12 of something or 6 of
Mhm.
something. And you don't say it, but like I can tell. Don't forget about it. Like you want people to be
Yeah.
reminded about it because it's true. Our
Mhm.
attention spans, we kind of talked a little bit before we started recording, are so short nowadays that sometimes people forget what they're even like pulling or reading. And so sometimes they do need that little press push to be like, oh, my favorite website I go to, oh, there is a sixth issue of something or a fifth issue of something, especially those ones that are weird, not weird numbered, but like if you think about a traditional miniseries nowadays being around 5 issues, that if it is a 6 issue miniseries, sometimes I feel like there's people who forget that
Mhm.
that last issue is even coming. They're like, that
Yeah.
was a weird ending. And then you're
Yeah.
like, wait, it's a 6 issue miniseries or an
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially based on the publishing schedule, if
Yeah.
something has like a month off or something
Hmm.
like that, it's always important to put those reminders out there. And
Yeah.
as much as I would love to pretend that, every book gets equal attention, I'm only one person with so much bandwidth. So like there are books where I will do my best no matter what
to
to give reminders of, we're past the initial launch, we're past the initial orders for 2, 3, and 4, and just doing what I can to keep us going. So at the bare minimum, press are always receiving review PDFs with,
yeah.
reminders about that stuff. But definitely got to keep trying and keep
It,
pushing.
it it's a different. It's like I said, it just seems like it's so cool. I deal with people on this side with in the prose novels. I deal with them in the graphic novel and in the comic book industry. Some people with the movies. It's just every industry like this has a different
Mhm.
marketing schedule
Yeah.
or plan or way the story is promoted or whatever it may be. And so it's like it's not as simple. So it's very simple for me to be like, I could plan out potential recording of episodes with authors until June because I know their
Mhm.
books are, like so on and so
Yeah.
forth. To me, with the comics, it's a lot of times where I'm like, hey, next week or the week after, can we do something? Because that's when I know about whatever comic may be
Mhm.
coming. And so it's just a different world. So I can understand being a little bit, you must be, always on the, not on the go, but like on the go with your keyboard, just making sure things are moving because they're just, they just change and things get announced so quickly and so often that it must just be hard to get everything out there at once.
I definitely keep busy. I'll just say
Yeah,
that. Yeah. But I'm
that's
lucky
good.
though.
That's
I'm
good.
lucky
Yeah,
to do what I do. I mean,
yeah,
like, I was comic book press for a while. I was in the news industry. My LinkedIn profile, I'm all over the place, man. So the fact that I get to like promote comics now, no matter
yeah.
how busy I get, every day I remind myself that like this is a job that so many people would kill for and so many people would want. And like I get to promote Ninja Turtles at the end of the
Yes,
day. So like I
exactly,
can't
exactly.
complain. Every work is going to have its challenges and its
Yeah,
obstacles, every job, but I'm lucky to love what I do. And
yeah.
I always try my best to remind myself that about that, no matter what
Did,
my inbox looks like.
did that help, like going from press to publicity for comics, knowing
Yes.
what to expect on that side to help maybe, facilitate both the creators and your publisher, but also like what potential needs that press might have because you've been on that side.
Yeah, absolutely. I never expected I would work for a comic book publisher, to be honest with you. I never had any aspirations of going into the side of the industry. It happened because once upon a time I was poached over at Valiant
Hmm.
because they thought I had transferable skills and experience because I was not only comic press, but I also did marketing and events at Midtown Comics, and I had some other relevant experience. So they brought me on board, and I was very lucky to work there for the amount of time that I did. And then, I was lucky a few years later when IDW reached out and said, "Would you have any interest working here?" I was like, "Yes, you guys have Ninja Turtles. Let's talk." Like,
Exactly.
I'm happy to hear more. So yeah, I mean, it offers the perspective of what it's like to be on the other side of that press
Mhm.
release or that pitch, and also offers the perspective of what your schedule and life
Mhm.
is like. Every time I reach out to press, I realize like I'm not the only, just because I'm sending something that's maybe important to me doesn't mean it's important to the
Yeah,
recipient at that time. I don't know what you're working on. How many different publishers are emailing you? Like you said, a lot of people
yeah,
who cover comics don't just stick to comics.
yeah,
How many movie studios or networks are reaching out to you? How many video game developers are reaching out to you or studios? How many editorials are you working on at the moment? How many interviews are you transcribing? How many reviews are you doing? How many other kinds of projects are you working on? So I always try to take that into account and realize like, at the end of the day, I'm really proud of what we do and I'm passionate about what we do and I try my best to get that out into the world. But I also understand that on your end, just like me and my bandwidth, the press people that I work with, they can only cover so much. So I try my best to be realistic with those expectations while also being respectful of like,
yeah.
if you write a review where you're like, man, I did not like this, I'm sorry, but here's my reasoning why,
Yeah,
that doesn't eliminate the relationship.
yeah.
As press, that is your right. And
Mhm.
like, as long as it's never like, this person sucks as a writer and here's why, and like
Yeah.
personal, as long as it's not personal and mean spirited, nothing changes.
I would have liked this comic book, except for the PR guy. It kind of sucked. No,
Yeah.
that might ruin it. No,
Yeah.
I also learned
No.
quickly that you also can't answer everybody, all the PR people's stuff. Like you can't, like I quickly, when I started doing book reviews on the website, I all of a sudden out of nowhere, my inbox just got flooded with, hey, you liked this one, you might like this one, and so on and so forth. And so all of a sudden nowhere, I was like, oh, maybe I'll read that book. And then I realized like I can't do it all. And
Yeah.
so now it's like a lot of times I'll read the email of some people who send me emails and I'm like, cool, I have a PR folder. I'll just go to the PR folder
Mm.
because it's just like I maybe will get to it at some point, but I just can't do it. And obviously having limited time, you have to pick what you want to work on or want to do. And again, you mentioned, oh, turtles. Yeah, of course. Most things that come across my desk that are turtles related, I'm gonna go for because the turtles are awesome. So it's like, why would I not? And then with IDW this year too, with the Godzilla, Kaisei era, like all that stuff was also a lot of fun to deal with. And then to me, for the IDW side of things, IDW Dark, all that to me was just like this was this cool year for 2025 at IDW. And that's only speaking of a few things there. I mean, you still got Sonic going hard. You got all kinds of stuff that are going over there. Is it My Little Pony too? Stuff going on too? Or is that yeah, it's still IDW, right?
My Little Pony, that license switched,
Okay.
but
Okay.
yeah, there's still a bunch of stuff. I mean, we announced a new Rocketeer
Yeah.
comic
Oh yeah,
that's coming.
Rocketeer. That was the one in my
I'll
mind I
say this
had.
year,
Yeah.
even though we're recording in December, this year being 2026,
Yeah.
the time this is published, yeah, there's a new Rocketeer comic, and
Yep.
then there's more stuff that I can't really talk about for 2026 as
hmm
well.
Oh, obviously there's the Star Trek stuff too, but like
Yes.
so this year, so you had a pretty big, like I said, a Godzilla, right?
Mhm.
That was a huge launch for
Yes.
IDW, and by I say huge to anybody listening, this is also me just talking about huge as in like popularity and people talking about it and stuff like that. I don't know numbers, and I'm not getting numbers, so I don't know how well it did, but I just know from like the buzz around the internet and the buzz around at least our website and our interviews and things we've done, is that like the Godzilla has been fun. My local comic book shop, going in there and talking to people about things, and a lot of times I do get advanced copies, so
Mhm.
it's nice for me to be able to go in there and be like, hey, I read that, you should get that, because like just verbally. But yeah, that you had the Turtles
Mhm.
stuff going on. We're getting ready for Battle Nexus here in 2026. IDW Dark with that stuff going on. A sequel to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Like there's a lot of amazing and fun stuff going on in
Yeah.
IDW this year that to me it's like there's like no there's, I don't have a ranking of publishers, but it's one of those things that if I were to pick on like fun exciting new things that happened in 2025, IDW was like up towards the top of that just because of like
Thank you.
what got
Yeah.
launched, not the quality. We do our year-end review, our comics of the year, me and
Mhm.
my buddy Paul, who owns Galactic Comics and Collectibles in Bangor, Maine. And we always forget about like long-term ongoing comics a lot of times. Like when you're making your list, you're just like, whatever. Like obviously to me or to a lot of people, Something's Killing the Children would probably be in that list every
Mhm.
single year now that
Mhm.
it's getting up towards like the 50 comics. So it's like to me, but it's like I almost want to say these new series or these like limited series or do something because it doesn't fall in that category anymore because it's just perennially good. Like you're just gonna read that comic book and it's gonna be good. But this year with IDW, I feel like there's a lot of new or relaunch things
Yeah.
that were just like amazing. Did you feel that buzz this year? Are you going to cons and things like that? Like that was like an awesome year in 2025.
I definitely did. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
2025 was a very good year for IDW. Like you said, there was the IDW Dark, which is the horror imprint that not
Mm,
only has originals, like, of course, Patrick Horvath continuing Beneath Trees Where Nobody Sees in the sequel, Rite of Spring. We also did kind of like a confirmation that there will be a third volume. We didn't want to spoil anything that's coming up in Rite of Spring, so we kept it to just, yes, there's a third volume in the works, but more on that later. Event Horizon, that
yeah.
just received an incredible response. And obviously that's because, it's a continuation of a movie um, from almost 30 years ago. And
hmm
not only that, the creative team just killed it, man. Like
hmm
Christian Ward, the writer, Tristan Jones, the artist,
Yeah.
Pitt Martin, the colorist, Alex Ray on letters. Just that prequel is so good. And we saw that response from the
hmm
community and retailers. Every single issue at the time of this recording, 4 out of 4 has a reprint. And we
Yeah.
actually just announced there will be
Yes.
final reprints for all 4 issues to coincide with the release of the fifth and final issue of the prequel. And then we also announced, yeah, there's going to be a sequel too, which takes
Yes.
like 200 years after the movie. And we're very excited about that. Godzilla, the Kaisei era,
Yeah.
we launched that during San Diego Comic-Con. That was a big deal because that was the first time, as far as I can tell, that Toho was like, yes, create your own universe, create
Yeah.
your own take on the Godzilla mythology, do something new, a new Godzilla design, new powers, new twists on different fan favorite characters. So there's this whole universe that they've been building and just expanding with not only like the Kaisei era ongoing, but also, Starship Godzilla, and then of course Escape the Dead Zone. And there are some really, really cool plans for the Kaisei era. I'll say this year being
Yeah.
2026. That I think late January or
Mhm.
no, excuse me, I misspoke there. In February, actually. So
Yeah.
next month, that people will learn more about. So I'm very excited about that. Ninja Turtles, just like,
Yeah.
dude, surreal. Because like not only did we have the 150 run, we also had, of course, the relaunch with Jason Iron,
Yeah.
killer lineup of artists, Juan Ferreira, and that was just incredible month after month. And then we had Gene Lin Yang and Freddie Williams II hop on with issue 13, and the response to that was tremendous. And it's been really fun watching the response of like videos of people doing, blind bag openings and saying like, I really hope I get this specific cover. And it's really nice to see when they actually get that cover too, like
Yes.
the reaction. It's so rewarding. I'm really happy that the team also made sure the blind bags were cover price too,
Yes.
instead of being like, 15.99 or whatever. No, it made it like affordable to have fun with that. But yeah, Sonic, dude, that's racing towards issue 100. There's a lot of fun stuff there. Star Trek, we launched the flagship series, The Last Starship, which is taking
Yeah.
some really big swings. And then I guess what I'll say is 2026, this year is the 60th anniversary of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So expect a lot of news on that
Yeah.
front.
That makes sense if that coincides with that. You do
Yeah.
something with it, but I mean the 60th year, yeah.
Yeah, just and then of course with IDW Dark 2 in 2026, man, like we have A Quiet Place,
Yes.
we have Smile. We also revealed this new original that's gonna happen that is so fun. Operation Iron
Iron
Coffin.
Coffin. Yeah.
It's literally just World War II. Dracula is dropped via an iron coffin onto a Nazi train that is full of super weapons, and Dracula basically has to stop this train from getting to Hitler so he can create his own army of vampires and all this stuff. And just like the editor showed me some of the opening inks the other day, and my response to him was just like, thank you for this, dude. Like
Yeah.
this is one of those books where like in a different creators' hands, it could be like all exposition and then the cliffhangers like,
Yeah.
here's the premise. Check it out next month to get what you want. This just like hits the ground running. I am so excited for fans to see more of that. And then yeah, there's more stuff on the license front too with Paramount. They've been great partners and beyond. Like that's all I can really say
Yeah.
for now. But I'm very excited about how 2025 went in terms of like the quality of the comics, not only with the creators, but also like the passion from
Mhm.
editorial and the overall response from not only fans, but also retailers and press overall. So I think it was a really good year, and I hope that 2026 goes even bigger.
And as you mentioned, like you have Turtles and you talked about Godzilla and you talked about Star Trek.
Mhm.
There's these licensed properties, but you also have like there's a great mixture of original content
Yes.
and new and licensed stuff. Like so, there's this cool series. Exorcism at 1600 Pen ended in 2025. Like, and then the trade came out in 25 too. So there's that, and then. Like we talked with Hannah Rose
And
May about
Buckingham.
the
Yeah.
future, like the future of with Smile, and then Buckingham Palace. Like it's just
Mhm.
like so much cool. And having some of these cool creators. I mean, Tim Seeley being involved with Godzilla was phenomenal. Because first of all, it was like when I heard the announcement, I was like, that can't be real. Because it just didn't seem like it meshed well. Like I've read Tim Seeley's comics, and I'm like, I don't is like is Godzilla gonna be wearing a thong? Like, what's going on here? Like, like what's going on with the Tim Seeley? And then I was like, wait a second. And so, like, he's just a phenomenal writer, like in general, and he can write
Yeah.
across whether it be a superhero or a villain or monsters or horror or whatever it may be, comedy. Tim has the capability of that, and I think Tim handled Godzilla in like with like excellent fashion.
Yeah, man. He's a
For
he's a diehard Godzilla fan. And then you also see that with he's also doing our TMNT Godzilla
yeah,
crossover, which feels like a real like celebration of both properties as well.
yeah, and it did, and it's like there's certain ones I mentioned this year. I talked to Tim Haig about the Archies versus Minor Threats crossover, and I
Yeah.
was like, there's like a couple different like genre categories for crossovers. There's like the this makes complete utter sense, and there's like the I don't know why they did this, and then there's like the so doesn't make sense at all that it like works. Like that makes any sense. Like the Archie Minor Threats one to me was like so off the wall different that it made so much sense. And when you read the actual comic, it's like, okay, this works. When the Stranger Things TMNT crossover from a couple years ago to me was like, okay, they're both like 80s creations, and like they're both, one's in New York and one's in, like, all this made sense. Like it works that way. They both like kind of fight like superheroes or extraterrestrial type things. And I was like,
Evil
oh,
scientists. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It works. The Power Rangers TMNT stuff works. Like all that stuff works. This, like, for some reason, like Godzilla didn't click until I was like, wait, they're both reptiles. Like this does work so well. And then the creation of why
Mhm.
they are crossing over in that
Yeah.
sense. Like there's not just all of a sudden or a portal opens up and like there's like this, there's a story to it
Yeah. The
that had
quick
like
claim
actual
to it's
meaning.
just so
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love that aspect of it. And you can tell like there's certain times, like, I haven't in recent years, but like people who are writing or creating comic books are passionate about the project they're working on.
Mhm.
Like it's not just a hired gun. Like
Yeah.
you could hire any amazing writer to write Godzilla or
Mhm.
write Turtles, but the best ones are the ones that are great, but also are fans of the actual
Yeah.
property. And I think that we got that this year with those licensed properties. Like all the people who were behind the scenes actually cared about the characters they were writing, not just writing a good story.
Yeah, I agree, man. And that's always so nice to see when there's like that legitimate passion and love and also like excitement, because a lot
Yes.
of these creators get to work on so many different things. So seeing that they still have that kind of like joy and almost like giddiness when they get to do cool stuff with some of the books at IDW has been really nice. And that makes it like especially fun for me too, because I
Mm,
get to work with them and I get to see like how much they care. And that is just like infectious, I feel like,
mhm,
not only with me and like how I continue to go out and talk about it and everything, but also hopefully like that shows in the work itself and the press that
mhm.
they chat with and the social media that they put out there. And I think that was especially true in addition to, Tim and TMNT with Gene and Freddie and
Mhm.
Jason, Godzilla, also with Christian Ward and Tristan Jones with Event
Yeah.
Horizon. Like that was a real passion project for those dudes. But also like seeing Patrick Horvath just continuing to play around in Woodbrook is like such a delight too, you know?
Well, and I talked to Patrick right around the time of the release of the second one, and I also wrote a review, and I was like, I had skepticism. I no offense to Patrick,
That's
no offense
fair.
to
Yeah.
IW or the story. I was like, it's one of those weird things where you like take something that was lightning in a bottle. It was a great story, and he's excellently well written and well illustrated and all that stuff. But it's like one of those things that I don't think anybody really knew, including like you knew you had something good, but I don't think you had it was going to be that outstandingly successful. And then you're like, well, okay, sometimes you can read into these things like made a bunch of money on this one, let's try it again. And then it's like, is it really is the heart in it? And I think there's been some interview. I did a discussion with Dave Schilling, who wrote the Horror's New Wave book for Blumhouse, and
Mhm.
there was discussions about sequels and how there's certain ones like Sinister was so well done, and then they went to do Sinister 2 and it kind of flopped because it was kind of like pigeonholed into doing a sequel. And that's why Black Phone 2 almost didn't get made, because it was like, I don't want to do a sequel until the ideas started flowing and they're like, okay, this
Yeah.
works. And so when I went into Beneath the Trees, Red of Spring, I was like, how is he going to do this again? And then there's like the first like 3 or 4 pages, you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. You
Like
got me.
you are
Yeah.
so smart. Like, how did you do this? And then by the time you finish the volume, you're like, okay, this works. And it's just so good. I'm like, now I can believe in more. Like if there ever was more, I could believe in more. And so Patrick is just, talented
Yeah.
and the juxtaposition of kitty looking, like child looking illustrations and horror is
Yeah.
just so cool. I don't know if I told you this when we talked before, but when you guys sent me the trade of the first volume as a thank you to a lot of the press and stuff like that, my son opened it with my
Oh
son, who
no.
at the time was 3. So
Okay.
now it's like a year ago. It's like 4. Yeah, so he's 4.5 now. And whatever, like you see the front of it, and it's like to him, he doesn't really know what blood is. Like the blood on the cover is like paint to him, right? It's a bag full
Tomato
of paint,
sauce.
right? And
Yeah.
he's like, "Can I? Is this for me, Dad? Can I read this?" I'm like, sorry, man. Like I know it looks like you can read it,
Yeah.
but you can't. It's all right. One of these days, we'll sit down and read this. I
Like 10
promise
years.
you. One of these days,
Yeah.
not right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of funny how that works that way, and it works so well. I don't know. I mean, Tony Fleece did it with and Trish Forrester did it with Stray Dogs too. So it's not like
Yeah.
unheard of, but it's just
And
so
now
cool.
Farrell as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Theros phenomenal as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so cool to see, and I think it's really cool that you know, and Pat, it's a lot of work for Patrick. I mean, writing something and illustrating something takes a lot of work. So
Yeah, it was really nice at New York Comic Con this year to be there and see him win Book of the Year for Beneath the
yes.
Trees Where Nobody Sees at the Harvey Awards. That was really, it was nice to see him get that kind of recognition because
Mhm.
obviously, like, that book has been receiving a ton of love and positive word of mouth since day one. But to get an award for it, like, that just further validates it. And he's just, that guy is so talented. Like, it's only a matter of time, I think, before he's like the next Scott Snyder or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's true, and it's like I actually Free for All was excellent too. It was his
Mm.
own, or
Oh, yeah.
it was on Zoop first, and now then it's
Mhm.
Oni Press, and I
Yeah.
think it's coming on hardcover too in early 2026. Was also excellent. It's like it's the same style of artwork, obviously, because that's his style of artwork, but a
Mhm.
completely different story. But like it's just he's just a phenomenal creator, and I think that's
Yeah.
you know IDW is lucky to have some people like that. I think it's we didn't mention
Yeah.
Tim Scioli,
Very lucky.
you mentioned Jason Aaron, you mentioned all these
Yeah.
people on. I mean, Hannah Rosemary, having these people in your bullpen per se is awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah.
You got the licensed properties that people all want, but also now you're like, oh, we've also got the talent that everybody
Yeah.
wants.
Or
And
dude,
obviously
even
they're not stuck there. They can go other places, but I'm just
of
saying like
course,
it's nice
yeah.
to have them there.
Yeah, or even like still having Kevin Eastman like
Yes.
contributing the way he does, with not only like the Last Ronin, universe, but also still doing covers and everything, just having him involved and occasionally being able to work with him on press stuff is that's another like pinch me moment, you know?
Well, Matthew Klein, a friend of the podcast, works for
Yeah.
Penguin Random House,
Hmm.
also a writer for IDW at one point with
Crashing,
Crashing,
yeah. My former
which is
boss at
also
Valiant.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, pulled out of the blind bag the Kevin Eastman Ben Bishop cover.
Nice. Yeah.
He did like a reveal on Instagram, and Maine's own Ben Bishop. I live here in Maine. Actually, got a Ben Bishop right here variant of Last Ronin.
Oh yeah.
So it's the one that he did. It looks like the old sheets, the old TMNT sheets.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it was really cool to see him pull that, and he like it's another person who writes comics, who works in comics, who
Yeah.
loves comics. Is Matthew Klein? Yeah, he's a fan of the friend of the podcast. Yeah, but yeah, seeing him open that, I am tell you right now, I'm glad that we don't do blind bags on everything. I feel like it would do really well sales wise. Like all your publishers would make a bunch of money off of it because people buying like the Pokemon of it all. Like you never know what you're gonna get, the cards of it all, but those people who would spend all that money, like you're saving my wallet here.
I
Because I
feel like
remember when
yeah.
Walking Dead did the 15th anniversary one, and they had the like you could get like one of five different covers or whatever in the package. I remember going to like Newbury Comics and like trying to find because they always had like they'd bought a bunch of them, and
Mhm.
months after they'd come out, they'd still be on the shelf, and I'd go buy three or four, and I'd go open them like, ah, crap, I've already had those ones, but like. The Invincible one, I remember that for Image was huge too, and I think
Battle
this
Beast.
yes
I did that.
that'll be
Yeah.
one,
It's a
and
great
I
book.
got one. It was cool. I was like, okay,
So did I.
I'll get this. Like, I don't read Invincible regularly. It's not on my pull list. Like anything from Invincible is just not on my pull list. I mean, it's not bad. It's just I don't read it.
Okay.
And so I grabbed it because I'm like, hey, this is not bad. Like I'll do this. But yeah, it was cool to see people opening those TMT 13 ones.
Yeah, I hear you, but I also feel like blind bags need to feel like an event.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like taking advantage of
Hmm.
retailers and fans. Because then, like, if you're asking retailers to order a lot of something, they need to have the confidence that, yeah, it'll be easy to get foot
Yeah.
traffic in here. We know we're going to be able to sell this and make money off of
Yeah.
it. And that's why for TMNT, we did it with 13, which traditionally, I imagine most people are doing a blind bag on issue 13 or past issue one. But in this case, it was the launch of the new creative run
Yeah.
for our flagship series of TMNT. And it's not every day that there's a new creative team on the TMNT
Yeah.
ongoing. Like since I picked up issue one back in 2011, I think there's only been four different writers.
Writers. Yes.
You've had, Tom Waltz along with Kevin Eastman, Sophie Campbell, Jason Aaron, and now Gene. So that
Yeah.
was like a really big deal. The launch of a new era while still respecting and following up everything that came before it. And we wanted to do everything we could to signal that. But also like the blind bag itself needs to have some really cool stuff in it. Like people have to
Yes.
open it and be like, I really want the cover by X, Y, or Z. And that takes, of course, a lot of work. Our director of sales, Ryan Balcom, and our editorial team had a really cool lineup of covers. Everyone from like Dana Warren Johnson,
Yeah.
Christian Crane, David Nakayama. There were just a lot of really, really, and like you said before, Kevin Eastman, Ben
Hmm.
Bishop, a lot of really good artists on there. So even if you didn't get something that was exclusive to the blind bag, hopefully you still felt like you got a really cool cover.
Hmm. And that's true. Like I said, it also pulls like, well, that also tells people if you do something special only or only when it's something special,
Mhm.
why is this special? Like, why
Yeah.
is 13 special?
Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite series of all time is Revival, which
Okay.
obviously is now just was on TV on Sci-Fi.
Mhm.
And I'm a big Scotty Young fan. And it was weird that like issue, like, I forget what issue it is. It's like, it's issue like 13 or something like that, or 14 that Scotty did a variant for. And to me, it was always weird why this random middle of the series issue it was. And I think it just was timing and
Mhm.
whatever. But it was always weird to me that like he always does like issues one, or if he's gonna do it, he does like the issues like 1 through 4 or whatever it may be. It's like it was weird to be like this really middle of the ground issue, and so like it obviously has some significant. And I don't remember if there is anything, but there's something significant about 13 that caused that to happen. That you
Okay.
needed to
Yeah.
have this, like to you having 13 be the issue that's relaunching and with not relaunching but launching with new
True. Yeah.
creators, and pulling that. Why is there a blind bag for that? And then the LCS could potentially tell people, oh, it's new
Yes.
creative team and so on and so forth. So it's also significant to other people. Like when you're reading an ongoing and it does change a team,
Mhm.
and you don't really know about it until you open the issue up and you're
Yeah.
like,
Sure.
wait a second, this doesn't look or sound like the other, or it sounds like it, but it kind of looks different or whatever.
Yeah.
I've had that happen too many times. You're reading an ongoing and all of a sudden I know where you're just like the next issue is like a completely different artist. You're like, what is going on? What just
Yeah.
happened? Did we get transported into a new universe? But yeah, so like it's really cool. And it looks like it was fun. And people had, like I said, I saw the videos of
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just press people, but just in general videos and people talking about it and discussing it at the shop. Sadly, I like being there on the day, and sometimes it's on Tuesday, late at night when he's like putting the comic books on the shelf that I'm there,
Yeah.
and I see them, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, and put them in my pull box or whatever it may be, and I was like not available to be there, so like they were on the shelf and off the shelf before I was even able to like to see people open them in the shop or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I was like, I kind of I was there for the Battle Beast one. I had a guy pulled up the 1 in 1,000 who
Oh wow.
doesn't collect comics. He collects Pokemon cards. So he saw it and he's like, I'll buy this. And he pulled it and everybody else pulled junk.
Wow.
And he's this one guy. I'm like, you suck. It's stuff I
Yeah.
don't. I'm the one that's collected comic books for years here. Now I'm going to get the regular A cover and you're the one
Yeah.
that gets the 1 in 1,000.
Um,
No. But yeah, I mean, to me, as a person who has a slightly addictive personality, I could see myself it being a problem having too many blind bags. And so, yeah, it has to be like a special occasion, I think, in my opinion, to make it work. But
yeah, it has to
um,
feel warranted and
yeah.
justified for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like, I mean, 2025 was amazing. 2026 is going to be great for IDW. I think that it's
Yeah.
also looking good for not just you, for all publishers. I think there's
Yes.
some things that are going on there that makes comics just we're comics are here. Like they're here, they're vibrant, they're going, they're doing things. It's just really cool to see that happening, and that like publishers that have been around for a while, like IDW, have some really cool comics that are coming up, and there's a variety. That I always say comics are for everybody. It sounds like a gimmick or just like a I say it because I want to. A cop out almost like so I get people to read comics, but it's true if you think about it. Like if
Yes.
you just talked about Sonic, you
Yeah.
talk about Star Trek, you talk about Godzilla, you talk about TMNT, you talk about horror comics. Like there is something there that everybody could find a love for, and I think that's what's cool
Yeah.
about IW right
Yeah.
now.
I think a common misconception is people associating comic books just with
Mhm.
superheroes, which those are the biggest ones for sure. I mean, like
Mhm.
whenever there's a new Absolute Batman, that's not at the top of my read pile. Or Spider-Man, there's one issue left at that
Yeah,
point, or at this point, that's at the
yeah,
top of my read pile as well. Like there's a lot of superhero comics I love, but it's a visual medium
hmm
that within it has so many different genres. Like it's not just dudes in capes punching each
yeah,
other. There's a
yeah,
lot of that and done very well. Like we talked before about
yeah,
Invincible. I love
yeah.
that. You can see the compendiums behind me of
Yes,
Invincible.
yes, yes,
Battle
yes.
Beast is one of my favorite
Yes,
comics
see,
of 2025. I love it. But there's just so much more to choose from.
yeah.
And yeah, that especially, publishers, yeah, I feel like a lot of publishers produce a really good variety of genres. And I'm lucky as well at IDW where we're doing that with, IDW Dark. It's not just supernatural horror.
Yeah,
There's also
it's
like cosmic horror.
mhm.
There's, supernatural stuff. There's
Well,
ground and terror. Yeah.
it's cool. And one of the things I actually thought about the other day was I saw someone like pulling their pull list up on Instagram, and they're showing their pull list, and it was like Marvel DC, right? That's
Yeah.
what was it, right? And I was like, well, that's cool. That's how I used to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
I'll
me
tell you
too.
right now, less DC, more Marvel. But like,
That's
every time
interesting.
it was just
Okay.
Marvel. It was Marvel, Marvel, and it was like okay. But then I realized that like you don't get as much of a variety of artwork either. in big two publishing. Like it's pretty much a similar. Like you have to draw like a superhero or a superhero comic book artist. And I think what's cool about the variety of comics that IDW is coming out with this year and this past year, you think about the IDW Dark and the Event Horizon. Like that's a different style than you're gonna get in TMNT.
Yeah, like Tristan Jones returned to comic art,
Yes.
dude. He was doing like other kinds of art. Like he did these incredible covers for boxes with NECA and everything. But
Yeah.
this was his return to doing interiors. And not only that, like I don't know if you've seen some of his Godzilla covers or like some of the
Mhm.
Godzilla art he's been sharing on his social. That stuff is so good and so terrifying. Like it's just been a real joy to see him return to comics too, and
Yes.
him bring his visual style to it.
And I think that well, I'm trying to think of who's the main cover artist on Event Horizon? Is that
Oh,
Jeffrey?
Jeffrey Love, and he
Yeah.
just did news from the Fallout at
Which is like
Image.
I just reviewed
Yeah.
this, and the review will be up by the time this is up. But like
Okay.
reviewed the trade. That was one of my favorite comic books of last year
That was great.
because of the fact that it was just like there was like no artwork. Oh, I see no artwork. That sounds really like bad, but like
No,
meaning
it's
it was
very
very
distinct.
simplified, and
Yeah.
it was just the shadows and silhouettes of things, and a really gritty look, and it made this like a completely different reading experience. And it was, after atomic bomb goes or nuclear bomb goes off, like that to me is like
Yeah.
okay, there's that the world is very simplistic in that sense, but it's horrifying, and like the claws of the hands of the people and stuff like that was just really
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
disturbing. But that wouldn't work in a Superman comic book. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. So I love that thing about independent comics and comics like IDW, where you have a variety of comics people can get at, is you don't have to read everything, but it's all not the same. If that makes any sense. Like, big two
Yeah. Yeah.
comic books are not all the same.
Of
But if you
course.
think about it, if you pick up a superhero comic book, it looks like a superhero comic book. I'll just say that right now. And it
Sure.
does take talent to do that. But I'm just saying, like the variety you get more independent publishers is really cool.
Yeah, and I'll give credit where it's due. I do think at
Yeah.
Marvel and DC, you do see like a really good variety of creators over there too.
Yes.
Like DC, the Absolute line, like all those books have their own distinct vibe to it, you know. And then I saw Juan Ferreira is actually hopping on Absolute Superman, which
Hmm.
I'm so excited to see. I mean, the book is great already, but like I'm excited to see him and Jason reunited and doing
Yeah.
stuff over there. That's really cool because they were just an incredible creative team on Ninja Turtles. But yeah,
Yes.
even like over at Marvel, it's been fun. Like, for example, I'm a sucker for the Predator franchise.
Yeah.
So seeing all the fun that Ben Percy and the publisher's been having with that, and then like the different artists who have worked on like versus Spider-Man, which
Yeah.
surprisingly was more of a horror book. Like no one
Yes.
could have ever expected Predator versus Spider-Man to be like a horror book. But
No.
yeah, they pulled it off. I had a blast with that. Does it help that Craven the Hunter's my favorite villain and it was secretly a Craven book?
Yeah, exactly right.
That doesn't hurt.
It's hurt. Yeah, exactly.
But
Uh,
yeah, I think you
uh,
see a lot of creativity and a lot of like innovation across the board nowadays,
yep.
which is really, really great. I mean,
Well, I
like,
think every
yeah,
publisher's taking risks. I think that's the thing. I think they're all taking risks. I think some are taking more risks than others, but I think that they're like everybody's taking a risk on we want the different and new things, the Patrick Horvaths of it all, where
mhm,
it's like this is not something that you typically see, so let's see it, and that's really cool. We talked a little
yeah,
bit off the air about Minor Threats, like Minor Threats is
yeah,
killing it over at Dark Horse, so like I love those kind of things and taking some little some liberties of what you want to do and some risks on things and dealing with some cool people out there as well is awesome too. But yeah, 2026 is going to be amazing for everybody. I'm looking forward to the year. I'm ready for 2025 to be over. I think there were some good things that happened this year, but I'm really looking forward to like just like turning the page and going to the next year. Except for my deductible of my insurance resets. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to. It's one of the things I've told people. Like we had enough medical
sure,
things happen
yeah,
this year that we like had the last 4 months of the year like free basically.
same.
And so now I'm like, okay, January 1st is gonna hit, and I'm like, now I gotta pay for shit again. Other than
I'm right
that, I'm
there,
looking
dude.
forward to 2026. So the
Yeah.
comics will hopefully make me feel better about what's going on in the
What is
world.
your most anticipated thing about 2026 in terms of comics? And it's okay if it's not an
Comics,
IDW thing. It could be whatever. I'm
I
curious.
don't know. I think so. To me, Hannah Rosemary is going to have a good year this year. I think
Yeah.
that's when I talked to her on the podcast. It was the same thing with multiple comics and some other things that are happening at the end of the day that she can't really talk about yet and
Yep.
things like that. So like I think that's really cool. I think horror is still here to stay and
Yeah.
looking forward to more horror comics next year, which is really going to be cool, or this year I should say, 2026. But yeah, I think just seeing how different publishers deal with different things, the landscape of distribution, see how that goes. I want to see how
Okay.
Free Comic Book Day goes. All those things I'm looking kind of like there are some storylines still left to be told this year that are still need to be settled. I mean, the Diamond thing is still not done. we're
Okay.
still dealing with repercussions of that and how the distribution landscape looks. So, yeah, it's just I'm looking forward to a bunch of things. I don't know, man. Like it's so hard. It's so Alex Segura's book, Enemy of My Enemy, which
Okay.
is a Daredevil book. It's part of the Marvel crime series over at it's the Disney publishing arm. I don't know what it's called. I forget what it's called. But it's a sequel in a sense to Lisa Jewell's novel
Okay.
that was about Jessica Jones.
Oh, cool.
And then next year there's a novel coming out that's about Luke Cage. And so and that's by S.A. Barnes. I don't remember. I don't want to screw the author up, but
Okay.
those are pretty cool too. Outside, like the adjacent to the comic book industry, the comic book related novels I'm looking forward to too. But
Okay.
no, I think it's everything. It's hard to say. Like I don't want to say it because there's some things that I want to go away in 2026 if that makes any sense. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the year of comics in general.
So
Uh,
I
it's,
do want to ask you, since you
yeah,
mentioned you're reading more Marvel than DC,
yeah,
and we were talking about the
yeah,
variety of superhero comics, one of my favorite comics of 2025, outside of IDW and from
yeah.
across the industry, was actually Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. Did you read
Yes,
that? Because the hardcover is
yes.
coming out February, and I'm so excited to get that.
Yes, I did. I'll tell you right now. I read the first issue. It's just because I get first issues and then I don't read anymore. But so it'll be on my list to do that. Charles Soule is one of my favorite writers, authors of all time, and so like anything that Charles does, I have to be a part of. And so anything he's doing, Daredevil, he's doing whatever, it's always going to be something that I want to get involved in. So I'm excited to see the end of what's it called? Devils. Wow, what the hell is it called? Now I'm gonna. He did it with Ryan Brown. Lucky Devils. Lucky
Oh, right.
Devils.
The Image comic. Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the end of that one too. That's
Okay.
2026 one too,
All
because Ryan had his health struggles in this year, so it's like getting it finished is what their plan is to do, and so they were hoping to have it all done in 2025. It didn't work out.
right. Okay. And now shamelessly, I won't ask about other publishers
Yeah,
now. IDW, TMNT 13. We were talking about that. What do you think about it?
it's I love it. So I love when new creative teams are able to continue on other storylines. Like it's just fun to see their takes or their like because they obviously had to have read 1 through 12 and kind of had like a background on it and so on and so forth. So seeing that was really cool. I think where it's going, I'm excited to see. I want another 150 issues from this run, so I don't know if that's the case,
Me
but
too.
I like the where it is, where it sits, and we actually did that. It was kind of cool. We did it for book club this year. We did the first volume,
Oh,
which was kind of cool because it was a little bit different for people. Because like, where are you like, how do you get started on TMT is like
yeah.
a question that a lot of people have, and having that, having it be a relaunch, have that first volume come out was pretty cool. So we did that for everybody.
That's
People liked
awesome.
it. The long term fans were like, I don't know, maybe, but most of the people liked it a lot. So it's just good.
Awesome. I'm really happy to
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah, so I will email you after we chat, TMNT
Yeah.
14, so you can check that out early. But also, in case it helps when everyone's asking about like where to hop on, because there is such like a rich mythology
Yeah.
under IDW with TMNT, we're actually going to release compendiums of the full 150 issue run.
Nice.
People can start pre-ordering those. And then, like you said, TMNT Volume 1 from Jason Aaron and that amazing lineup of artists. There are multiple options for different kinds of people. Like
Mhm.
there's the trade paperback for someone who's like, I just want to read it. I don't care about like extras or,
Yeah.
quality or whatever in terms of like hardcover
Yeah.
versus soft cover. That's the trade paperback with good bonuses. But then also there's like the library edition, which is an oversized hardcover, which has more process material. But then on top of that, dude, there is the inked edition, which is
Oh
even
yeah.
bigger. And that is obviously based on the title, like just celebrating the inks
Hmm.
of different artists that were involved. And that has way more process art too. So
Yeah.
those are really cool items. And yeah,
It's
I mean, I hope people give it a shot and
well,
keep sticking with it.
it's
Yeah.
turtles. I think it's one of those things that
Yeah.
it's I hate to say it because I don't want to talk about the business of it, but it's like almost like printing money because like it's truth. If as long as it's fresh and there's something new and it's not just rehag, as long as those aren't just the same internal things in different formats. Do you know what I mean? Like as long as it's not a hardcover of a soft cover of a library of if those are small little intricacies, whether it's a cover change or whatever it may be. I think there's a lot of people out there who are huge fans are just gonna be like, okay, sign me up, I'll get it. TMNT has been a huge thing, and I will say to everybody, if you want just something fun to read that's different, read The Last Ronin. which just came out in that cool box set.
Yeah, dude. Perfect
of all
for
the different
holidays.
ones. It's so cool that thing came out. I was like, that was one of my list of trades or hardcovers to come out between the day I released that article until the end of the year, what you can buy for someone for Christmas, and that's one of them. It's all together.
Thank you. Yeah, since this episode's going up in January, if you did receive any gift cards,
Yes.
yeah, the Last Ronin box set, it not only has, of course, that incredible first volume, it also
Yeah.
has Lost Years, which is a prequel
Yeah.
while also teeing up the brand new Ninja Turtles team. And
Yeah.
then it goes into Re-Evolution, which is the full-fledged sequel. And then as for the future of the Ronin-verse, all I can say is there will be more news. I
Yes.
can't say more than
No,
that.
it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
but there
know.
will be more. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Ben has a second kid, so he has to do something. Yeah. Just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, so IDW, I love it. So, and I'm
Thanks,
glad you
man.
came on. And like I said, we'll talk again sometime in the future. But yeah, check out if you're a fan of TMNT, Godzilla, horror comics. If you're a fan of Star Trek or Sonic, those are just some of the, like I said. Oh, and again, you mentioned the Rocketeer coming out this year too. So those are just some of the few things that are available for IDW. But local comic book shops could use your help. Not even at the end of the year this year or like 2025, but at the beginning of the year. This is a kind of a slow year for this time of year. It's actually slow for comics in general. Less comics are actually kind of released on these. The pull lists are a little bit shorter. They're still being released, but like less of them. It seems like a little bit of a slow moment. So go pick up your pull list. Use those gift cards you got to grab some issues, some trades, or whatever it may be. But yeah, Gregg, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us, and we'll talk again in the future. And yeah, happy New Year and all that stuff. And hopefully 2026 is great for you.
Yeah, Justin, thank you so much for the invite. I really appreciate it. And also thank you for like all your honest coverage of comics, your reviews, your interviews, the articles you put out there to try to say like, here's what you should buy out of this holiday because I think it's good and here's why. Like, just all that stuff is
Yeah.
truly appreciated. So thank you.
I thank you so much about it. Yeah, but yeah, again, keep up the good work, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Gregg.
Thank you. Cowabunga.